Today I'm at the American Indian Film Festival with Mr. Banks.
37th year of this festival here. And I remember the very first one that I came to was right here. One of my young daughters started walking on this very floor. So I have some good memories of the beginning of this festival.
So, what did you perform on stage?
We sang three songs. One of them, of course, was the American Indian Movement song, the AIM song. This is a song that started singing after the death of Raymond Yellow Thunder out in Gordon, Nebraska. This was 1972. And as we were lowering the body back into the ground, a young Cheyenne man started to sing this song. People were shoveling dirt, and that song, we sang it. We got into the truck at the back of the pickup, still singing, and then sang it all the way back to Gordon, Nebraska. We got out of the pickup, still holding onto the drum, singing, and into the armory, rather, where about 2,000 Native people were waiting for us to decide what was going to happen. But that song became the AIM song. The other song was a tribute to a lot of friends over the years who I've known and who are ending their life cycle and coming close to going to the spirit world. So one of them is Lee Brightman, who was my trusted friend for many years. He's still alive. He had a stroke recently and he's slowing down. So. But to all the warriors who fell in the line of duty, in the duty of being Native and fighting for the interests of Native people, fighting for our land, fighting for clean air, fighting to have clean soil and the water. So, but not only that, it's the rights that we have, hunting rights, fishing, even trapping and harvesting wild rice, and the destruction that has happened against our land that affects our medicinal herbs and the roots, the very medicines that we have been taking and that we use to become well.
What are some words of wisdom that you could give to youth today?
It's kind of tricky, but it has a message, and that is when you work for change, for the betterment, when you confront big business, when you confront schools that refuse to end their racist teachings, when you confront big governments that refuse to change their policies on our land. See, our land is being governed by the Bureau of Land Management in Washington, D.C. We have title to it, but they manage our land, and it shouldn't be that way. But to the young person who sees the need and wants to answer the call, you might get bruises, you might go to court, you might end up in jail, you might go to prison. But to me, all those worries aren't sufficient to not do anything. It is our duty, mandatory duty, that if injustices are happening, that we have to stand up. And if we get killed during the process, then let them say that we died standing up, that we died in the struggle, that we never buckled, that we never dropped to our knees, that we did this struggle with honor and pride. And that's the marching orders that I leave to young people. And when you've lived as long as I have, when it's time to go, it's a good day to die.
What's the most significant point of your life that changed your ideas?
I was forced to go to 3 boarding schools, and the first one was when I was 4 years old. They took me, and I stayed there for 6 years without seeing my mother, my father, my grandparents. I finally got to come home for 30 days. And I asked my mother, why didn't you write to me? And she said, I did then, I did. But I never questioned her beyond that. And I went to another boarding school for another 3 years. And then they let me come home for 30 more days. And again, I asked my mother, why didn't you write, Mom? And she says, then I did write. I ran away from all these schools. Every one of them, I ran away from them. And finally, the last time I ran away, I made it home, came home, and but my love for my mother we'd become separated too long for me to love my mother as my mother. And that hurt me inside. And she passed away, and I went to the funeral, but no tears could come to my eyes because I had thought that she had abandoned me. And then 50 years later, my daughter went to this National Archives in Kansas City, where they store all the papers of government programs. And Tashina called me and she says, Dad, we found your school records and we're bringing them home. And I said, oh, good. And she showed them to me, and I was looking through them, and I was wondering about all the people that I went to school with. And then she shocked me by saying, Dad, we also found the shoebox, and in there were letters from my mother. I couldn't do anything. And I started to read the letter. And the second one I opened up, and it says, Dear Superintendent, enclosed is $5 to send my son home. She even sent money to this government. And the government never told me about these letters. They never once told me that my mother asked about me and sent me money, sent money to send me home. And I will never forgive this government for what it did, not only to me, what it did to thousands of other young children across the country. Thousands of students went through the same thing that I did. That's what changed my mind about what I had to do with my life. It set in motion a path that I must choose and that I must follow.